Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to the Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024 Newcastle Town Board meeting. May I have a motion to open the work session?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so today we're going to start off by discussing bench plaque policy brought to us by the BAB, Beautification Advisory Board.
You know, I'm gonna actually, sorry. It's okay. I'm gonna ask the board if we could go to eminent domain first. Lori Morton was gonna try to join us.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
texted her, but I don't see her online yet.
Okay, so we can switch it up
Okay,
and let's go to eminent domain.
Lino, can I defer to you to talk us through it?
Sure, this what's presented to you this evening, Supervisor, members of the, oh, my mic is not, there we go. Sorry about that, so what's presented to you tonight is a resolution, this is on Corwin Way, if you recall, this board is looking at the possibility of condemning that property for a DPW facility. What you have before you this evening is a resolution to really kind of start the process over again. The process was started about 3 years ago, maybe actually more than that. But I just felt that going forward, since so much time has elapsed since you were going through this and before I was here, I just felt it would be better just to start off authorizing us to start that process, which would entail updating the appraisal that was obtained a couple of years ago, refreshing that, and then starting the whole EDPL process again. So what you have this evening is the resolution authorizing that and authorizing me to go forward and start that process. So that's the resolution that you have before you this evening. Again, this process was started by my predecessor, but it kind of died in the negotiations going back and forth, and because the time has elapsed, I didn't wanna take a chance that anything was stale in terms of secret or anything else, so I like to just start from scratch and just do it over.
Okay, what do you estimate the process, the timing of the process would be this
So-
time around?
That'll vary, so if this can be resolved in negotiations, hopefully I would say within the next maybe 3 to 5 months, but if it goes to litigation, it will take longer than that. Because there are timeframes that have to be complied with in terms of noticing, in terms of offer letters that need to go out. So you're looking at hopefully if we can get it resolved before the actual petition is filed in the eminent domain, that would be the time to resolve it, but if it goes to the petition process where it's filed in Westchester County Supreme, it can still be settled, obviously, but if it's not settled, that could take, usually those things, generally in eminent domain, you have the acquisition where you acquire the property, but then there's also the valuation. So generally, the acquisition of the property doesn't take that long, relatively speaking, in terms of, jurisprudence, other people may disagree with that, but for my world, relatively quickly in terms of the acquisition of the property, but sometimes when the parties have an issue with valuation, don't agree, that's the time, that takes a lot longer. I know I've had a couple of eminent domain trials that I've had in my career where it was just about valuation, because it's very rare that you could challenge the public purpose portion of that, but in terms of what that property's worth, that sometimes that could be litigated and can take a couple of years, maybe more.
So Lino has provided the board with a copy of the resolution that we would be looking to approve tonight.
Right, I just wanted to know whether it was in shorthand form on our resolution sheet or
No,
if we
it's not, this would be the full
we
resolution.
would need to read the resolution
Right, so page
into the
7.
record
Okay,
later on, okay. I don't,
not to forget.
I mean, you don't have to read it, you can duly note it that and just adopt the resolution, I mean, it is before you.
yeah, it's at the
part of
very
public record.
beginning of the agenda pages, right after the actual agenda.
It's page 7.
I don't have the whole backup. I'll give you mine.
No, we don't
Yeah, it's fine.
either, but you should have it.
Oh, she doesn't,
Okay.
There's an additional
Well, it's okay,
packet, I
someone
think, in the room.
can read it,
I'll
but
get
we
Yeah,
can
she's-
I could read it if you like, but it's a
Thank
one-page
you, Lino.
resolution.
read it, it's okay, yeah. All right, thank you, Lino.
Thank
Give me
you.
a second, here. Oh, you should just have.
Sorry. Thank you.
All right, does anyone have any more questions for Lino on
No, I
this?
don't.
Okay.
Otherwise, I do note that Lori Morton has joined us.
Okay, all right, good evening, Maury, so thank you for joining us. for this discussion, so we'll turn to the BAB bench plaque policy. And we have Lori Morton here with us to start. Jill, would you like to start first or?
Up to Lori.
Lori.
Lori, do you wanna start and walk us through this a little bit, or?
Sure, just to give you a brief intro, I think that the BAB had founded the Memorial Bench program and had been administering it for a number of years in partnership with the town. And then during COVID, I think the town had kind of taken it over exclusively, but what the challenge we were facing was that there wasn't a clear process that was obvious on the town website. And there really wasn't just a clear process for doing it, period. So what we endeavored to do was to work with Christina, who also worked with the current vendor, to kind of map out a process for this that could work for the town staff, could work for the vendor, and took a lot of the ambiguity out of the process for families that were looking to dedicate a bench. So what we have shared with the town board is essentially a draft cover letter and form that lives via link on the town website to take some of the ambiguity out of the process.
Okay,
Right, and what we've also been able to do is we were able to secure the vendor, the original vendor for the benches. We have one in stock at the moment, we're gonna order another 5. We are going to standardize the brass plates that are on the benches, it's going to be actually 4x8. The bench up in front of Lang's that has the dedication to Mr. Lang on it is gonna be the template going forward. We thought it was a good combination between the good compromise between the 3x5s that were a little small and some of the larger ones that just made it impossible to sit on the bench. So I think all in all, we hit a sweet spot on it. And of course, we really appreciate BAB and Lori taking and just sort of memorializing the steps so it makes it clear for everybody. And we're very with the board's permission, I don't think it requires any heavy duty action from the board. We will take and post this to our website, and we've got the pricing. We were a little concerned about that. It's gonna be $2,500, which will cover the brass plaque and the larger brass plaque and the bench. And so we'll be good to go with it. Okay?
so basically there is now a form that people fill out,
Yes.
a consistent form.
It's a uniform look.
They email the completed form to the town clerk. They will receive email acknowledgement within a week. So these are all, I like how the timing is very well delineated here. Then who approves? The town board approves, or who would
So,
approve? There's upon town approval, it says. So
Yeah.
is that an
Are we-
administrative approval, or what do you anticipate?
We didn't map out what the back end would necessarily look like. We got the basic part of that sorted out, I think, and that could be
Right.
more
So that's
General,
for us to
like put on the location of the bench and at least a look at the wording. But I think that between, we can handle this administratively. I don't think there needs to be a formality to it. I think just visibility to folks who care about it is helpful, but really only wanna have the town clerk's office be the point of contact for the families.
Okay, at some point, does the town board get involved?
Of the benches,
in
not
these-
usually, no.
Yeah,
Unless it's a location that we hadn't really considered, and frankly, the location of the benches is dictated by ADA compliance to make sure that the sidewalks remain wide enough for clear passage.
Right.
I'm less concerned about location than I am that the dedication is an appropriate dedication.
But it would-
I think we should be informed at the very least, if not having to approve it. There may come a time when we might want to approve it for various reasons.
Okay.
It's hard to tell what the
I have
future
to tell
holds,
you,
but
through
not that I wanna create more work for us, and
yeah,
I think
I'm
you're
trying to figure out
perfectly
how many
capable.
years this program has been in existence, Lori, but it's gotta be 20,
Yeah, a couple decades.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
and
feel like our administrators would alert us if there was any questionable submissions, right? I
Right,
would
but I
like to
think
think if there was anything we needed to know, we would know.
But just as a matter of interest, it's
I'm-
good for us to know
happy-
that the
happy
town,
to
that the
share it with
benches
the
are,
board,
have
yeah,
been,
it's-
it's a wonderful thing to do and I think we should acknowledge it.
sure,
Okay.
So if people want to apply for this, where exactly on the website is it? Where will they find this? Is it under the BAB?
it's gonna be under the town clerk's office
Okay,
and the
I think
BAB,
that we would post a link in a couple of places, it would all point to the same form with the same process, but people could then find it on the BAB page, they could find it on the town forums page, they could find it on the clerk's page. I think it's for there to be a little redundancy in where the link lives and, also like the BAB could show the link and their social media, the supervisor's report could have the link in it, when we launched the new process.
yep,
Yes.
I agree.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, and Vicky was actually, reading the outline, and what's nice is that we will let the family know that they will be receiving a proof within certain amount of time.
Right.
And then after the proof is approved, then they can expect the installation 2 to 3 months, and that's basically because if it's the dead of winter, we're just not gonna be able to do it, so this way we build in a little bit.
The other thing that we wanna have is that the family would be notified when it was in place.
Right. It's great that there's consistency and predictability for people who are applying for this. And Lori, thank you to you and the BAB for thinking about making this consistent, making it make sense and taking the time to do this. You made it look simple, but it really wasn't that simple going through it, so
Chris, well.
yeah, thank you very much for working
you,
on
Lori.
this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lori.
And sorry about the timing.
Yes. Okay.
She's set
Very
on the
good.
dais, she understands
Yeah.
our delicate timing on this stuff. If it's okay with the board, I'll turn to the administrative items.
Yes.
Okay. We start out with the retroactive payment of claims with our checks dated October 18th. Next is the adoption of minutes from September 2024 and the adoption of monthly reports also from September of 2024. BART is seeking authorization to extend the contract bid for DPW, the sidewalk snow removal for the Chappaqua Hamlet Parking District. That's with Griffin Landscaping, we've been very pleased with them for the past couple of years. We're seeking to extend it for another year. We're seeking to piggyback onto other New York State county bids for pipelining. This is a continuation of the water improvement projects that BART's been doing in the downtown area. Next is authorization again to piggyback onto Omnia Partners bid for the purchase of one of the heat pumps, and this is for the installation at the upper room at Amsterdam. We need to purchase 3 additional light fixtures for the Chappaqua Hamlet. Our beautiful decorative light fixtures downtown get hit on a somewhat regular basis, and we keep a stock of them on hand to be able to replace them. We are accepting vehicle auction results, thank you, Jeremy. And we are seeking to declare surplus on 2 different old pieces of equipment at DPW. We have authorization to accept an ozone upgrade for the primary disinfectant system at the Millwood Water Treatment Plant. Authorization to approve additional construction, basically supervision services for DPW. This is for the water main replacement on Pine Cliff and Meadow Lanes. Those 2 water main installations are wrapping up. The old main is being capped, and there's going to be paving. I think they started on Monday. And the weather has really been working in our favor, so those projects are gonna be done shortly, so this is just some additional inspection services for the full-time inspections that we have. Looking ahead to our ski trips, in the winter, authorization to use town vehicle from from recreation. The chaperone, we have one chaperone drive separately in a town car and follow the buses to make sure that heaven forbid anybody gets hurt or gets car sick, that they have some relief off the bus. Authorization to release the cash maintenance bond agreement for the drainage improvements on Lamini. Authorization to accept cash bond agreement for 16 Ridge Hollow Road. Authorization for the performance bond reductions. This is for East Village. As construction continues and more work gets done, infrastructure work gets done, we're able to release the performance bonds, which was guaranteeing that the work was actually done. The next has to do with Civic Plus and the agreement for credit card services. We went out to bid for new HVAC maintenance agreement. Our contract with Westchester Atlantic was up. Unfortunately, the low apparent bidder was unable to meet the insurance requirements and so requested permission to withdraw their bid, and we have a new contract award agreement with Westchester Atlantic. Next is to accept a proposal for plans and specifications for the recycling parks garage. It's come to our attention that there is some structural work that needs to be done on the garage. Some rehabilitation work, so Watsky is gonna be assisting us in that regard. We've got authorization to use town property, that's Attitash Street. They're gonna be having a wonderful Halloween type block party. What a fun group. And we're gonna ask for authorization to set a public hearing for an amendment to the ethics law. And that's for November 22nd of '24. Does anyone have any questions on the administrative items?
Thank you, Jill. Okay. So that is it for the work session. May I have a motion to adjourn our work session and open up the town board meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we are officially now at the town board meeting. And let's see, Jill, do you have any announcements, or Christina?
Are you gonna be including in your supervisor's report our change of email?
I will be, do you wanna talk about that?
Yeah. So just very briefly, about 10 years ago, the town changed its email addresses from town.new-castle.ny.us. It was a little long and cumbersome to mynewcastle.org. For security reasons, the county has asked all of its municipalities to change to a .gov email address. So the town of Newcastle on November 14th will be.
That's a Friday, right?
It's a Friday.
A Friday, right.
We'll be switching over to a new email extension, and it's gonna be mynewcastleny.gov. Just to
It'll
let you
forward regardless. It'll forward.
It will absolutely forward regardless of if you're still using our old one, you'll see it, you'll see that it goes through. You can test it now, it should be working. But if you're gonna notice that emails from town staff starting the end of this week, we'll start having little notifications on our signature blocks notifying people of the new extensions, and we'll slowly but surely roll this out. But because everything will forward, the public isn't really gonna see much of a change one way or the other. It's just that at some point we will switch over completely.
So
Yes.
is this like phase one of a process? Cause I'm trying to understand, you said it's for security, and if it's being forwarded, how does it work?
Rob would really be the person to give those answers. He's
Okay,
otherwise engaged tonight. But yeah, he'll be able to take and explain it. And there's, some discussion about it, but unless we have the .gov, there are gonna be certain county applications that we are not going to be able to access. And so once they put it that way,
We're doing
we
it.
Okay,
said
so
no
it's on
problem,
the-
we're doing it, so.
Yeah,
that
I know
that
that
makes sense actually.
other municipalities have been doing this for the same reasons, for matters of security. The .gov domain is just deemed more secure, less prone to hacking. I don't know the technical details of why that is,
Couldn't help.
but that's the
Just so that
thinking.
the board is aware, and will, again, this will be a slow, painless rollout for the public. So,
Yes,
okay, just wanna make you aware, thank you.
Thank you.
okay, thank you, Jill. Anything else for announcements?
Maybe if you don't mind about the early voting?
Oh, yeah, please.
Just I wanted to remind everyone that early voting starts this weekend. The closest locations for us are Mount Kisco, also Ossining and Yorktown. The full list of locations with the hours is on our website. I believe it was also in the newsletter this past week, but do check because the hours are different on weekends and all throughout. But it starts this week, the 26th, and goes straight through to November 3rd.
Thank you, Christina.
Very important information, thank you, Christina. Okay. And now for my supervisor's report, I wanna thank Ike and his whole team for the Ragamuffin Parade on Saturday. Unfortunately, this year I was not able to go, but I will make a point of being here next year. But we will have all the pictures in the town newsletter, and it looked like it was a lot of fun, and there were a lot of happy kids and great costumes there.
The weather was spectacular.
It was a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I also wanna thank the Holocaust and Human Rights Committee for their Neighbors Bench program. That was very successful. People were there, and it was an opportunity for neighbors to get to know each other better and sit on the bench and have good conversation, and ways to connect are so important. So I wanna thank them, and I know that they're doing a next Neighbors Bench in November. Ally, you're the liaison, do you know what that date might be?
I should
I'll have it in the newsletter and we will talk about it, but it will be sometime in November. Also, the Committee on Inclusion and Belonging had a story exchange program last night. There were about 16 people in attendance, Jen was there with me. And it was, again, another opportunity for people to meet neighbors, and we had, it was a structured process based on an existing program that's applied to organizations and schools. And people paired up and had really meaningful but short conversations with one another, adhering to prompts, different prompts. But it was such a wonderful experience and an opportunity again to really get to know people in our community. Jen, I don't know if you wanna add anything to that?
I do wanna thank the Committee on Inclusion and Belonging. It was a really great event, so enjoyable. I think we all felt really great at the end. It's really a listening program. And you just sort of listen to your partner tell sort of a narrative story about themselves, and then you take their persona and you reflect it to the audience listening. And it's just a beautiful way to get to know your neighbors in just a collaborative and easy way. So by the end of the evening, you feel like you know each other a lot better. Really nice.
Yes. Okay, so there'll be another, and we'll be announcing the dates. We're
Yeah, I
not quite
encourage
sure.
everyone to participate. It's just so much fun.
I wanna go back to the Neighbors Bench. The next one will be on November 2nd, which is a Saturday at the Farmers Market from 10 AM to 12 PM. Okay, and I also want to announce that tomorrow is AOK Day in the town of Newcastle. AOK stands for Acts of Kindness. This was an event brought about by a resident, Evie Rosen, who organized this back in 2017. And she wanted to bring it back again, after COVID, things got a little strange and different, but now we're back to normal. She thought of bringing it back, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. And she partnered with our new committee on mental resilience. And so AOK Day in Newcastle is tomorrow, October 23rd. And although I have to say that every day is a day where we should all perform acts of kindness, but it's kind of nice to have an organized date around it so everyone focuses on it. And all it takes is a smile at someone. It could be as little as that, just holding a door or buying someone a cup of coffee, or if you know someone who's ill, bringing them dinner. It could be small or big, but as long as you do a little something, it just makes life in town a little better for everyone. So I hope everybody participates and maybe we'll get some feedback about what it was like on October 23rd in the town of Newcastle. I think that's it for announcements. Anyone on the board have anything to announce? Okay. Jill, do you have a town administrator's report?
No, I'm gonna hold mine. I'm gonna
Okay.
Defer to Dan, who's been waiting here patiently.
Well, that's the
Yes.
that comes next. So today we are really pleased to welcome Dan Welsh, who is the Program Director for Sustainable Westchester, who is here to talk to us about Westchester Power, which is the default energy program for Newcastle, which we have been involved with for how many years, Jill?
Dan, help me out. How many years have we been?
That would be 8 years now.
8, wow.
8 years.
Yeah.
And there are 28 municipalities in Westchester who are,
29.
is it
going
29?
on-
That keeps changing a little
29
bit.
going on 26 actually.
Okay, I'll take your word for that.
It's the new math.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we'll go, let me see, slideshow. Beginning. Okay, well, thanks for having me again, and thanks for all the active collaboration that the board and the town have engaged in with us to try and make sure that folks who are participating in the program and not participating are aware of it and know about the details and have all the information they need to make their choices. I'll go through this really quickly. North Castle doesn't need to be told about, the urgency of the
Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yes.
Everybody.
We know that
This
you
is
know.
the one time when newer is better.
I bet your
Run
own
it.
residents do that sometimes too, but sorry about that. You guys have been doing this for a couple of decades. In fact, I just seen today that your original climate action plan goes back to 2011, which is before a lot of towns even knew that such thing existed. The trends keep going in the wrong direction. We all know that, the hottest days last summer and all the rest of that. There's a little piece of trivia I threw in just to capture some of the attention of some of the audience, and that is we often hear that we're trying to keep the global warming within 2 degrees. What does that mean? It doesn't sound like a big deal at all, like a little 2 degrees warmer, but that's heating up the entire planet by 2 degrees. So that comes out to roughly 14 trillion kilowatt hours worth of energy. So it's not so much just like 2 degrees, it's not a big deal. It's that amount of energy to heat the entire planet up. And that's why the storms and all that get that much more vigorous and damaging. So everybody's used to these kind of pictures that they're seeing now. And why is that getting in the way? I'm not sure. Sorry. I'm not sure what that's like. These things are there. Okay, well, I'll talk through it. And of course, it's about the greenhouse gases and where do they come from. We're talking about the residential energy sector. Something the way I shared it or something.
Something on your screen is blocking. Is there anything else that you have open on the computer?
I don't think so. We could escape and take a look. Close the browser. Cause I'm yeah. Or just try sharing it again. It's the PowerPoint.
Start the share. You wanna try it again?
Just hit share. Just hit share here. And this fella. Yes. That is Okay.
I'm not too sure.
No,
Is the
All right.
presentation on here?
it's not, that's the,
Do you have a thumb drive that we could pull up?
I do not, but can we at least minimize this? How about that?
Oh.
Well,
That's
It's a little better.
alright, I think we'll get through it, let's not waste everybody's time with this. Greenhouse gases, it's the residential sector, so residential electricity is a big chunk and it's getting bigger because of all the electrification we're doing, to go to heat pumps and all the rest of that. We're doing our work within the framework of the state goals and our local goals, and part of that entails getting together and trying to do it together because we're more able to collect our resources and do bigger and better things by coming together. So that's what Sustainable Westchester is about. It's a shared service. We just celebrated our 10th anniversary actually, and actually the roots go back even further than that. We've got a whole portfolio of programming which is directed at trying to make headway on these energy problems, and the town has participated very actively in those. Westchester Power is kind of the bedrock program of the portfolio in that it's the actual renewable energy supply, and that, as we just said, has been in operation since 2016 now, eight years. It's the first in New York State, and of course again it's about bringing our collective resources to bear on this problem of transitioning to renewable energy. We do that with fixed rate products, and it helps to drive more activity, more investment in the community around this through the municipalities and through grants and the committee activity. Key features of the program: it is an opt-out program, so it becomes basically the new default supply for the municipality instead of the utility. The utility remains responsible for all the infrastructure to deliver the power to you, but this becomes the new power supply by default. It has consumer-friendly characteristics in that you can opt out and opt in at any time. And this kind of education and outreach is a big part of that as well. We usually have more than one supply option, and it's very important to know because it's a fixed price, we can't guarantee savings, and typically for renewable energy there's some premium that's involved. But we never know because we don't know what the future utility rates are going to be. They're completely variable. We were just talking about the participation. We reached 29 municipalities when Yonkers came in. We are losing a couple. We lose a couple of NYSEG communities this round, and Mount Kisco, unfortunately, where our headquarters is. But we'll still have 26 municipalities, and we're going to be still pretty close to that 140,000 number because it's been growing. Again, just for the basics, because hopefully folks in the audience are trying to figure this all out. It's about the supply as opposed to the infrastructure. And supply is a matter of figuring out who you want to pay to drop energy into the grid for you, right? It's by buying clean energy, you're saying I want to pay these clean energy generators to increase the amount of renewable energy that's going into the grid. And if you're in the program, or if you're with any energy non-Con Ed energy supplier, your bill will look something like this. You'll see the name of the supplier on this page 2. In our case, it's Constellation, and you'll see the little note there also talks about Westchester Power. So that's the way to recognize that. If you're with Con Ed, then you won't have that. Everything will just say Con Ed, Con Ed. Sometimes people see this and they see the summary on the front page and they think, oh, this is an additional charge, but it's in lieu of Con Ed default supply when you're with the program. So again, just an overview, it's about increasing the amount of clean energy, adding choices, and providing kind of an insurance policy because you have a cap price, you don't have to ever pay any more than that. In terms of that environmental impact, you guys have seen this chart before, but the annual carbon mitigation for 2023 was over 330,000 metric tons of carbon. That's significant. and you see the conversion to more readily understandable measures there, 79,000 gas-powered cars behind that black block there. And another way of looking at it is the DEC is now looking very strongly at incorporating the social cost of carbon into its measures so that we can understand you're doing this. It may not be directly connected in the transaction, but that cost does come back around to you and it has a very specific value. Of course, that number is not accurate to the dollar place, but we took the numbers out of the DEC workbook for that and converted. So again, in terms of providing additional choice, before you have a CCA in your municipality, you basically are with the utility, and then if you want to try something else, you have to go out and search for your own ESCO supply. With the community choice aggregation, Westchester Power, you now have that as a default, and you still have those other choices. You can go back to the utility, or you can go out if you think you can find something more to your liking in the private sector and be with an ESCO. This is just a visual on the cap in terms of fixed price versus variable. That's pretty obvious as far as it goes. And another important part, of course, what we do is what we're here today for, and all the outreach that we've done is to basically raise awareness. So even if people don't end up staying in the program, at least they've been more exposed to this stuff. And there's only going to be more of it in terms of the complications in the energy industry and what we're calling on consumers to do, which is a little daunting, but we're starting to do that work by engaging folks with that. And we're trying to increase, of course, our bilingual capabilities. We do have in-house staff for that, and we're holding Spanish sessions and doing that with our other programs as well. So that's a high priority for us. So here's the new contract. I'll show you the dates and everything for what we've been through in a moment. But so the new contract, the default rate for Newcastle is based on the 100% renewable product. So that means if you don't make any choices, that's what you'll be enrolled in. If you want to do something else, if you want to opt out, or you say, okay, I want to do something environmental, but I want to back off a little bit and watch my cost, there is a 50% renewable supply, which is still very impactful, and you can switch over to that. And you'll see later on the different ways you can do that. And that contract is starting in a few days. That means that any of the customers who were in the program and haven't opted out to now will then get basically the new pricing. There's not kind of it's the same supplier this time. The same supplier won, so there's no they won't get the re-enrollment notice from Con Ed that you often get with a change of supplier, but you will have the new price will take effect starting with the first meter read date for an individual customer in November. It's a 13-month contract, so it goes until November 30th of next year. And got a little more information there on the trailing 12-month average. That was also in the opt-out letter. That was 9.6 cents. That's saying looking back 12 months, that's what the average Con Ed rate was. That recently changed. It's up to 9.9. And actually, if you look at today's price for the month to date, it's up at about 11 cents. So it's starting to rise up. And we have the previous contract rates in the call out over on the right there. So we've come down a couple of cents on that. So we're happy about that. And these prices there's still a premium versus what we see with Con Ed. They are, however, looking very competitive versus other comparable offers. So if you go out and look for ESCO supply for 100% renewable, this pricing is going to be at the bottom of what you see there. So we check around these rates every month.
And can you just tell me, that's gone up and down in the since 2016, hasn't it? I mean, there were times when Westchester Power was very competitive with Con Ed.
Yeah.
So it's been
Yes.
it hasn't been consistently higher. Is that right? I mean,
I would say the past couple of years it's been consistently higher. The previous contract though, we killed it. We were like the rates were shooting up on Con Ed and we were locked in at like 7 something and we did very well.
Right. I just want people to know that even though you're going to be slightly higher this year. Well, first of all, we can't tell where Con Ed is going to go.
That's right.
They seem to be on an upward trajectory. So you might
Yeah.
end up being lower, but I just want people to know that you have been lower in the past, so it's not been this way consistently.
Yes, that's true. And the market rates or the utility rates tend to follow a pattern, but you know, you have to be everything's subject to, you know, whatever happens in the world. But wintertime rates tend to go up, then in the springtime you get a drop off again, then they tend to go up again in the summer. So it could be very likely that we'll be comparable or competitive with Con Ed even with our renewable during the winter, and then during the springtime might drop off. And if people wanna sort of look at that, they can stay with the program and then watch what happens in the spring. It's an option, you know.
Do you think that your higher rates over the last few years were contributing to why those few municipalities withdrew from Sustainable Westchester? Did they have reasons why the program wasn't working for them?
Yeah, there was pressure from that, but then for at least a couple of them, it was just because they from the start had defaulted to the standard product. And if you recall, I said this year we can't offer a standard product because of the new regulation that the DPS enacted, which says you can only offer a non-renewable product if your price is no more than 5% over the trailing average. So that means if you are coming out of a low period in the market and things are heading up, your bidders are not gonna outbid that trailing average because it's low, you know. So we're in that kind of a market right now, so we're not able to offer that standard product, which, you know, as Sustainable Westchester, we're not heartbroken about, but it was something that some municipalities found to be a good place to be. But with that going away, they like it kind of didn't make sense. We've had other municipalities in the past who, when kind of confronting this, they decided, you know what, we're either in it or we're not, and they moved to the 100% renewable. And you know, when you go there, then you just want to make sure that everybody is as much as possible aware of you know what their choices are and everything.
So that actually brings me to my next point, is that I think the most common feedback we get from residents is that they didn't know that it's an opt-out, right? And I think the preference for some of our residents would be that it would be an opt-in if they wanted to participate. So I would want to make sure, to avoid future confusion and question, that our residents know the contract is coming up, the new enrollment period is coming up, and how that's being communicated to residents and new residents too who don't know that we participate.
Right. And new residents wouldn't come in automatically, like when they call up Con Ed and say, hook up my power. They'd come in batches. Con Ed sends us every 4 months, they send us a new batch of the new accounts, and then they go through that same, you know, opt-out letter process. We hold sessions that they can attend if they want to. That's in the letter and everything. But you know, we wanna make it noisy and have people aware of it. So we're open to whatever channels, and you'll see I'll show you what we've been doing this year, and I think we have raised the level quite a bit. Just quickly to finish off like the details of the current contract, we just finished the opt-out period, as I said, and November 1st is the nominal start of the new contract. We do have a newly eligible mailing, which is right behind it, which is these kind of customers that we just talked about. And those customers have just got their opt-out letters, and their enrollment would start December 1st. Let me go, and this is the same letter format basically that everybody's seen for the original opt-out, and it is text heavy, and I've whined about this letter in front of you before. It's determined by the DPS, so we want to go over and above as much as we can. It does include all the instructions for any of the changes that you want to make, and
just to be clear, people, even though there's this enrollment period and this opt-out period, people can still opt in and out anytime.
Yes, that's the footnote there, that
Oh.
it sounds with the 30-day opt-out period, that sounds kind of drastic and like, oh no, after 30 days I'm stuck. Not at all. It's just meant to have a block of time wherein if you opt out at that point, you will never have enrolled, in this case in the new contract, or for the newly eligible folks, you know, they'll stay with Con Ed at that point. If they go beyond, they may get enrolled, but they can opt back out again. Just
And folks that are currently enrolled and do not opt out are actually gonna notice that their price is gonna be lower with the new
That's right.
contract.
Yeah, it's going down a couple cents, so, right. Yeah, so newly eligible mailing, they're getting this form, they'll get all the instructions. Sorry about the numbers there, when you go from Google to PowerPoint, it messes up all your numbers. This is just to do a little look back at what we've done this year. And so we started back in March to sort of warm things up, so we visited you in March. We made a presentation also here in June. We did an in-person information session at the Chappaqua Library in August. We have the virtual sessions, post-award sessions, and offer them both lunchtime and noon and nighttime, because for some people they like to do it with a bag lunch at lunchtime, and other people they're too busy to do that. And we also had the Spanish session, and of course tonight. And then already this coming Wednesday, we have a couple of sessions for the newly eligible, but anybody can go. And I noticed that you guys posted that, I think on your.
Yeah, I posted it all on the
That's-
newsletter, and
yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
that's precisely, I was going to give a list of the dates that you have up here,
Oh.
because you know, the communication to our residents is so important, and as people can see, and this year alone, we've had, I'm counting
been
7
here.
or 8 sessions
Yeah.
throughout the year, and it's been in the newsletter. But you know, somehow people still are not aware, so we will just
Absolutely.
continue to work on this. But I would say 8 sessions in a year is pretty good, you know, in
Pretty
person and virtual.
Right,
So
and
we're
sorry
putting
to
a
interrupt,
priority,
but
yeah.
that doesn't count the letters that go out from Sustainable Westchester. So there was a letter that went out maybe September, October, September.
We talked about the opt-out letter.
Yeah, just explaining to
Yeah.
everybody that there was gonna be a new contract and that you had the right to opt out, and
Yes, yes.
I've got it sitting on my desk,
Yeah, and we also did a postcard to everybody. That is going back about 10 months or something,
Right,
but
right.
during this year, there's been quite a lot of flow, and we've been in kind of the online newspapers and things like that.
Right.
But you know, if you have other media channels that you think are good to get out there, and certainly it's always good to go where people are. So if there are events where people are gonna be, you want us to table, we're
Yeah, you know, if you could leave us with maybe a stack of flyers that,
Oh yeah, we did
Have a
that, I
good-
didn't put that here, but we did
Yeah.
distribute flyers and put them in the library and places like that, so yeah, we're happy to do that. We actually have to update we have this like wrap card that we do, so we'll update that.
yeah, so
and-
that communication really has been a priority for us,
Yeah.
and we'll keep making it so.
And I also think, I know you guys weren't at Community Day, but you might think about that for next year, cause it's got great
Sure.
attendance.
Sure,
Um,
But I think the SAB had a lot of information
They
on
may
this.
have, they've been great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that they specifically address Sustainable Westchester. And Sustainable
Okay.
Westchester is really
You should
the
make
best
sure
position to
Well,
they
we-
have
we
like
should make sure
toolkits
for
on
next
hand that
year.
they can
Yeah.
just plop out on the table when they go, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we love to do those things. We try to keep our eye out, but if you can let us know when they're happening,
We will, yes.
It should go in the new neighbors pack.
yeah, and so all those are all, posted.
Dan, I was curious, how was the attendance at some of those sessions you held?
It's trailed, we've been doing this for a long time, so it has trailed off, so sometimes it's just 2 or 3, sometimes if 7 or 8, we'd be like, yeah, that's not bad,
Party.
you know, yeah, right.
Were they recorded?
We did record a couple of them, I
Did
think
the
we-
library record them? Jill, do you know if
No,
NCCTV?
So the library didn't, we recorded the one on the 26th, the one on June 4th. The library was not recorded because I don't think they have the ability to do that.
Okay, so can we send a link to those videos?
Sure, we've got them, we've got Dan's presentation, we've
Are we
also got
recorded tonight?
Yeah.
We're recording
Yeah.
tonight,
We could
yeah,
probably snip out,
Sure.
I think the first part I did was pretty tight and
right, but if there's
Yeah,
already,
that
But also this
There's a snippet
PowerPoint,
already,
if we, yeah,
so-
maybe what Vicky does really effectively is she's able to do a link to the PowerPoint and that goes in her supervisor's
Yeah,
report,
that's-
so
we
That would be
have been,
helpful.
you know, on our to-do list is to do a clean version without all the, you know, the back and forth, so we can really tighten it up just like in studio version. So when we get that, we'll pass that on. We're also thinking maybe like,
wait, you mean a video?
yeah, I mean, we can
Or
we can basically run these PowerPoints, you know, record over them and turn them into videos. So that's easy enough to do, and maybe, and also in my mind, I've been like, maybe I could take this and cut it into like 2-minute blocks. So, you know, it's people like sitting through a 10-minute video, and maybe,
That's tough.
yeah,
And
but minute and a half, 2 minutes, like, you know, what is the renewable energy? What is this program? Kind of little blocks so that they can,
But for now, if you could just give me a copy of this presentation,
Yeah.
that would be, if that's okay with you.
and you'll get it
I
without
can-
those black blocks hopefully.
Dan, I think you've also
Wait,
done-
just a second, I'm sorry, wait, can I get it without,
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm kidding, it's,
if you could send it to me, you know,
That's-
soon, cause
yeah.
the newsletter will go out on Thursday, I think.
yeah, I'll get it to you tonight.
Okay, thanks.
You or someone from Sustainable Westchester participated in the podcast with the sustainability
There's,
advisory.
that's tomorrow, I think, no, our executive
Yeah, he's been here a
director is,
few times.
Okay,
we
so
got a lot of activity with
so
you
yeah,
guys.
but I think that would be something that we
that
should
may be-
feature in the newsletter too
Mhm.
after that's released.
They'll probably cover like broader ground, but also this I expect, but yeah, so we'll make all those resources available. You can help push them out, that's great.
Thank you, Dan, that's great.
So that covers most of it. I wanted to, darn, throw this in here just as a plug. In November, we've got this jobs fair, clean energy jobs fair that we're working on with the county, so that's on our website. You know, it's worth pushing that out too for folks who are thinking they might wanna get involved in this side of things. There's also going to be a and I couldn't find that, I don't know that we've locked in all the information, but it's gonna be a battery storage workshop, you know, bulk battery storage with NYSERDA, fire safety experts and everything. Hot topic these days, and we wanna contribute to, you know, municipalities being able to sort through that and get to where they wanna be on that with all the right inputs, so that's something that's coming in November as well. Yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you.
Very helpful, as always, thank you for taking the time to come here, I know you go to many municipalities, so we appreciate it, thanks for
I learned a
all the
lot.
work.
I learned a lot.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Have our support.
Oh, the .gov thing, I think part of it is because it's harder for people to what's the word when they pretend to be you, it's hard, it's hard to sign up for a .gov account unless you're
Oh.
legitimate gov. So it's not necessarily so much that you don't get hacked, it's that people won't spoof
Get hacked from our
Yeah.
email, okay?
Thank you.
Good to know.
Thank you.
Alright. And okay, now we've reached the public comment period. Anyone with a public comment can please come up to the microphone and identify yourself and make your comment, and then we'll go to anyone who might be online after.
I'm like a daily short release.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Karen Basic. I'm with Newcastle Healthy Yard, Pollinator Pathway, and a board member of the Chappaqua Garden Club. And I'm here because of this quote that said, "If you see something wrong, if you speak out, you can change it," which was from Ethel Kennedy. But that doesn't really pertain to any of you, actually, because you're all going to help me. And that's why I'm here tonight, to thank you. First, thank you to the town for the irrigation system at the Pocket Park. It has been a life changer for us. I'm one of the volunteers that works under Judy, and we're there every Thursday. And you may have noticed we've had a heat wave and also a drought for about a month. And a lot of those plants we would have had to drag buckets or hoses, and it's really made a huge difference, so thank you.
So good, yeah.
We really appreciate the investment. And I'm also here to thank Dennis publicly. I thanked him privately, but I wanna thank him for his dedication to the town and the trees and sustaining, I think it was a 5-hour testimony, because it meant a lot to a lot of us. Because I was fortunate to work on the tree code group, and we spent a lot of time trying to find ways to protect the trees in town while allowing people to maintain the ability for safety. So it's very tough work, and it's easy for people, and that's one of the reasons I'm here today. There's something that happened, but I want to thank the town because of your work. We have the Bee City approval, and our town is recognized as someone who protects the pollinators. We're also a town that's a tree city. We can have that sign up to protect the trees. We're also a town that took the Monarch Pledge, which you don't know this, but I wrote about all of this in a grant that was won at the library in order to plant, to further a pollinator garden at the library. But unfortunately, as things are, that things, there's always a struggle with these things. I am not Mr. Byrne, who used to love to read children's books, but I had to bring this one with me. Because if you know Mr. Byrne, the principal at Roaring Brook, he used to read children's books, and sometimes parents would say, "Wow." But this book I purchased for the library, Millie Fleur's Poison Garden. I found it and thought it was so perfect, because I think so much of the work that you've done has advocated, and I'm just gonna show you, read, which nobody from any of the committees I'm on knows I'm here doing this, so it just says, Garden Glen was a place of sameness. Prim pastel houses, each one like the next, lined the streets of Garden Glen like candies in a box. Their windows were spotless, their hedges perfectly pruned, their shutters hung straight and true. Every house and yard in Garden Glen was flawless, with not a blade of grass out of place. And I think for many people, that is the goal. And through the story, this little girl comes and changes the whole town. And her name is Millie Fleur. And Garden Glen was forever transformed by Millie Fleur's strange and magnificent garden. Though the windows were still spotless and the shutters still hung straight, the yards once identical, now sprouted unique personalities, making Garden Glen a truly one-of-a-kind place. And it's a sweet story about how important it is that what you've been promoting is important. And we've been working in the town, in the gardens, in the Pocket Park. We've put in some milkweed, which we hope will attract butterflies as well as coneflowers. We have planted in we have plans, thank you for approvals of civic improvement plans. And also, I've been working at the library, which unfortunately, sadly, today is where the pollinator garden was destroyed in one place. And so I'm here to thank you, because I'm going to be going to the meeting and ask people to come, because the town has promoted the gardens. They have promoted milkweed, they promoted bees, and the small garden was not attractive, kind of like this garden, was not very attractive. And people were bothered by it. And I had heard comments about it. And any gardener knows, it takes 3 years. Usually we call it sleep, creep, eat, leap. You plant, you let it grow, and then it starts to go. And this past year was our leap year. The flowers bloomed. For the first time, we had the American lady caterpillar come and lay their eggs, and we had 3 caterpillars. And our monarch garden, thank you very much for the Monarch Pledge, has been 5, and this year 10 caterpillars. So our quest to educate and support the environment has been growing. but we're always combating what people deem to be attractive. I mean, and it's very hard for us because, and I had known about this issue at the library, but I didn't think that they would destroy it. So it's not, it's something that we're going to address going forward, but I wanted the opportunity with them. As Holly said to me before, we can't do anything about it, and I said I wasn't looking to, but you actually have, because your legislation and your support, and Melanie brought up with me your Less Lawn, More Life has supported us. It's really supported us in trying to promote that creatures and that we're part of an environment, and what we do impacts each other. We know an act of kindness impacts somebody, so does planting or watering or doing these things that also impacts us. So it means a lot for me to be able to go to a meeting and say that the town has been supporting this movement, that I realize that some people were not happy with this, the way it looked, but that the town has made decisions that they want to go forward and supporting. I know I wanted to come right away, but there was so much going on politically, we didn't want to cause more problems, but we were very grateful for the Less Lawn, More Life, because it doesn't mean you have to give it all up, but it means that you're allowing portions of it to support. And for the children, it means a lot. Well, the children I work with at the library, I mean, I have little Charlotte who has her magic stump that she plays with outside, and other children who plant things, and like our 100-year celebration, which I found the original invitation, the kids and families, which unfortunately was destroyed, kids and families were invited to leave a lasting mark for the future, to plant one and take one home, because we wanted the kids to have one for their own yard as well as the library, with the idea that we're all part of a big group. So thank you again. Thank you so much for supporting the environment, for supporting all the groups that work with the environment, for giving us a chance to keep protecting the environment. I feel like we had planned, well, that's gone now, but we have plans to continue to expand the Milkweed Garden, which we were really thrilled that we had 10 this year. And the kids all named them tortellini, you know, and watch them come out of the chrysalis at the library. And we even learned, like, one of them is actually overwintering, so we need to bring it outside and leave it outside, and then in the spring it will grow. So I just wanted to take that moment again to thank you for your continuing support for the Garden Club and the other groups that volunteer. It means so much to us, and we feel very dedicated to the work that we do and caring for the community. So thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
you so much.
You know, Karen, I just wanna thank you as well, and all of the groups who do support this work, because you are such stalwart and committed members, and it's not that easy to educate people on these matters, and you know, people make mistakes, and I know that sometimes it feels like you're starting from scratch, from back from square one, but you really aren't, because you know, with every day, every passing moment that you keep working on this, people are more educated and more informed. And so I wanna thank you for not giving up and staying strong and doing this work.
And can I add, I was telling the Garden Club, I was joking with them that we need to have bros that grow, because so many men stopped at our site to ask us really intense questions, like, why aren't my blueberries growing? So
I love gardening.
yes, I know, we
I
need
love
a lot.
My
I
husband
feel-
is the gardener in our.
See, and I have a lot of that.
Jeremy, you can found the Bros That Grow.
Well, I'm working with that. I'm gonna see if I can convince the Garden Club ladies that we
By
need
the way,
a-
have you tried Joe
I love
Pye
that.
weed?
I
Oh,
love
I
Joe
love
Pye.
Pie Weed.
Because
Oh.
that's very pretty, and it grows well with milkweed.
You know what
but
it
that
was?
is-
And it's good to block off if you wanna block
Oh,
off
absolutely.
property.
This particular site was
Joe Pye is great.
designated as a very difficult to grow site. And so we worked with Dennis and Melanie. We chose specific plants because it was a site that doesn't get a lot of water, doesn't really, it's very hot. So I think that the people who put things in that, I hate to say it, are probably gonna die, I didn't know that. So it's definitely, but yes, bros that grow. We I had a half an hour conversation with Peter about compost. So I just, it's, we're gonna have a downside, but thanks again for the, if we can have that milkweed out there as an example, and hopefully the butterflies will stop by.
There will be a silver lining to this.
Yeah,
Because
and the
people will-
birds.
people will learn, so.
And the birds, Emma, who's working downtown around the city bank, we wanna work around the milkweed, we know people are not thrilled about that, but we have plans. That is a bird sanctuary. If you ever want to hear a lot of birds, go sit by the city bank. You will see and hear so many birds, it's really lovely. And particularly during migration season, there are just tons of them there, so thank you. I appreciate the time, I
Thank
know
you,
you've got a
Karen.
lot to do.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
So good. Happy to help.
See how excited I got over Joe Pyeweed?
You did, I was so surprised, I can't believe it, we should talk more often.
Yes.
Okay, talk about Joe Pyeweed. Okay, so that brings us to our consent agenda. All right, let's see, Holly, do you wanna get us started?
I can do that. I move to adopt items 1 to 19 as listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I move to retroactively approve the payment of claims in the amount of $635,151.69 listed on the summary AG check register and detail voucher detail report dated October 18th, 2024. Checks were printed and distributed to each claimant listed on Friday, October 18th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Holly.
I move to authorize the hiring of the following individuals for the position of recreation attendant within the Recreation and Parks Department at the corresponding rates as indicated below, effective November 4th, 2024. We'll be hiring Courtney Glover and Sarah Beth Gottlieb at the rates listed in our resolution packet.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Jeremy, go ahead.
I move to approve the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Newcastle and the Chappaqua Central School District regarding the installation and operation of 2 electronic message boards located in Robert E. Bell Middle School property for a term of 5 years, effective from the date the fully executed agreement is delivered and received by each party.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm very happy about that.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
me
very
too.
ecstatic that it's done.
Yeah.
That's great.
I move to authorize the waiver of penalties from the 2023 to 2024 school taxes for SBL 821311 for the total amount of $224.75 with our condolences to the family.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, who wants to read the resolution on the eminent domain
Jeremy.
issue?
I didn't see it, I'll give it, am I giving it to you? I don't, okay. Alright, this is regarding the acquisition of 22-230 Joan Corwin Way to facilitate expansion of existing town highway and DPW garage and maintenance facilities. Just in the beginning is, whereas in 2021, the town board commenced procedures with respect to the acquisition of I'm having a hard time with that, I apologize. 220-230 Joan Corwin Way pursuant to Town Law Section 64 Sub 2 and the New York State Eminent Domain Procedural Law. And now therefore be resolved that the town board authorizes the performance of an update to the original appraisal by Valuation Plus. And be it further resolved that the town board authorize the performance of an update to the original title report by Fidelity National Title Insurance Services LLC, and be it further resolved that the council for the town of Newcastle, Bleakley Platt and Schmidt LLP is hereby authorized to undertake such actions as are necessary to effectuate further proceedings for the acquisition of the premises.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think that's it, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.